Everyone.
Good afternoon.
I would like to call to order the Winston-Salem Urban Area MPO Technical Coordinating Committee meeting. For this afternoon, we are meeting virtually. Therefore, all of our voting will be done by a roll call. So before we get into any of our items, I will ask Kelly to please call the roll.
Yes, ma'am. Kelly Bennett.
Here.
Carrie Gentry.
Here.
Pam Cook.
Here.
Pat Ivy.
Here.
Amy Crum.
Here.
Andrew Midwell.
Here.
Amy Flight.
Here.
Chris Jensen.
Here.
Stacy Tolbert.
Here.
Dan Porter.
Here.
Donna Woodson.
Here.
Are there any voting members that I have not called?
Kelly, it's Mark. I'm not sure.
Hey, Mark. I got you down. And for the purpose of the minutes, I see Brennan Oliver.
Yes, this is Brandon Oliver. I'm in place for Suzette Morales with the North Carolina Division of Federal Highways.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Is it Kelly?
Is it, ma'am?
Okay. Thank you very much and welcome Brandon and others. So we will start with our first item on the agenda, which is the public comment period. Is there anyone listed or here from the public to speak?
Not that I can tell.
Okay. All right, hearing no one, we will close our public comment period and move into our action items. It looks like we've got 5 items for action, and then we've got maybe 3 additional items for future action that we will discuss. So we will start with our first item, action item, which is the consideration of the January 24th TCC meeting minutes. Did anyone have any comments, or would anyone like to make a motion related to that item?
This is Amy Crum. I just have one minor change, and that is my title, if it matters. It's just assistant director. And with that, I move for approval with that minor change.
Thank you, Amy. Can I get a second, please? Amy has moved that we accept the minutes with the correction that she stated.
Donna Woodson, I second.
Thank you, Donna. All right, it's been moved and seconded that we will accept the minutes with the changes. Kelly, please call the roll for the vote.
Sorry, Kelly Bennett.
Yes.
Carrie Gentry.
Yes.
Pam Cook.
Yes.
Pat Ivy.
Yes.
Amy voted yes. Andrew Midwell.
Yes.
Amy Flight.
Yes.
Chris Jensen.
Yes.
Stacy Tolbert.
Yes.
Dan Porter.
Yes.
Donna voted yes. Mark.
Yes.
And that concludes it.
You didn't call me, Kelly. I vote yes.
I got you down. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Our next item is the public hearing and consideration of targets for safety performance measures established by the North Carolina Department of Transportation and amending the 2045 MTP. Hunter Stazak will cover this item.
Thank you, Tanique, and good afternoon, everyone. The public hearing portion of this item will be heard at the TAC later today. As Tanique stated, the item before you today is the consideration of targets for safety performance measures established by the North Carolina Department of Transportation and amending the 2045 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. Sometimes you will hear that this set of performance measures is called PM1. Per the Federal Highway Administration's Highway Safety Improvement Program final rule, NCDOT must coordinate with MPOs of the state to establish safety targets. Every year, by February 27th, MPOs must adopt their own targets or agree to adopt the state's targets and plan and program projects in support of those targets. As in past years, our MPO will once again adopt the state identified targets based upon the state's strategic highway safety plan goal of reducing serious injuries and fatalities by half by 2035 from the 2018 numbers. This corresponds to a 19.57% reduction in fatalities, 20.95% reduction in fatality rate, 30.19% reduction in serious injuries, 31.75% reduction in the serious injury rate, and a 26.25% reduction in total non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries. The percent reductions are for the 5-year rolling averages from 2019 to 2023 as compared to 2017 to 2021, and represent the rate that would need to be achieved to reduce fatalities and injuries by half by 2035 and down to 0 by 2050. Because this item usually receives some questions, we prepared a frequently asked questions document in the attached. And in the enclosed, you will also find a presentation from North Carolina Department of Transportation explaining the targets and exploring safety data trends in our state and MPO. NCDOT staff have rescheduled the presentation and will be presenting the content in that at the meeting of our March 16th TAC. Thank you.
All right, very good. Are there any questions for Hunter? Hearing none, would anyone like to make a motion? Nobody?
Nobody.
Donna Woodson, second.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Donna. It has been moved and seconded that we will accept this item. Kelly, please call the roll.
Kelly Bennett,
Yes.
Carrie Gentry,
Yes.
Tanique,
Yes.
Pam Cook,
Yes.
Pat voted yes. Amy Crum,
Yes.
Andrew Bidwell. Andrew,
Yes.
Amy Flight,
Yes.
Chris Jensen,
Yes.
Stacy Tolbert,
Yes.
Ken Porter,
Yes.
Mark Christner,
Yes.
Donna Woodson, voted yes, and I vote yes. I forgot myself.
All right, very good. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to the next item, which is a consideration of the fiscal year 2020 through 2029 MTIP amendments and modifications for the Winston-Salem urban area MPO. Hunter will cover this item as well.
Thank you, Tanique. The item before you, as you stated, is the consideration of the fiscal year 2020 to 2029 Metropolitan Transportation Improvement Program amendments and modifications for the Winston-Salem urban area MPO. The MTIP is a subset of our Metropolitan Transportation Plan and reflects our planning areas projects that are programmed in the State Transportation Improvement Program. The attached item N is the December 2022 update to the STIP. This was available for public review, and during that time, no comments were received. Thank you.
All right. Any questions for Hunter? Hearing none, can I get someone to make a motion, please?
Tanique Smart Kirshner, so moved.
Thank you, Mark.
I'll second this, Kelly.
Thank you, Kelly. All right, it's been moved and seconded that we will accept this item. Kelly, please call the roll for the vote.
Kelly Bennett,
Yes.
Carrie Gentry,
Yes.
Tanique,
Yes.
Pam,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
I voted yes. Amy Crum,
Yes.
Andrew Midwell,
Yes.
Amy Flight,
Yes.
Chris Jensen.
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Dan Porter,
Yes.
Mark voted yes. Donna,
Yes.
that concludes it.
All right, thank you. All right, our next item is a consideration of a checklist certifying the Winston-Salem urban area MPO's transportation planning process for fiscal year 2023 through 2024. Matthew Barczyk will cover this item.
Thank you, Tanique, and good afternoon, everyone. Tanique mentioned the item before you is consideration of our annual certification for our MPO's transportation planning process. So federal transportation law requires that NCDOT and all MPOs, including ours, annually certify our operations to the Federal Highway Administration and Federal Transit Administration to ensure that our planning process is being conducted in accordance with all applicable provisions of federal law, and that we're addressing all major issues of the urban area. To help us with this process, NCDOT provides a checklist, which is attached to this item for your review. MPO staff went through that checklist and provided responses to each of the questions within. And we believe that our MPO and our transportation planning process is adequately addressing the major issues of our urban area, and that we are conducting that planning process in accordance with all applicable provisions of federal law. This annual certification is in addition to the formal review that's conducted every 4 years and was last conducted in the fall of 2020. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you, Matthew. Are there any questions for Matthew? Would anyone like to make a motion related to this item?
This is Amy Crum, move for approval.
Thank you, Amy.
Scott Snow, second.
Thank you, Scott. It has been moved and seconded. Kelly, please call the roll for the vote.
Kelly Bennett,
Yes.
Carrie Gentry,
Yes.
Tanique,
Yes.
Pam Cook,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
I vote yes. Amy Crum voted yes. Andrew Midwell,
Yes.
Amy Flight,
Yes.
Chris Jensen,
Yes.
Stacy Tolbert,
Yes.
Dan Porter,
Yes.
and Scott Snow voted yes. Mark Kirschner,
Yes.
and Donna.
Yes.
That concludes it.
All right, thank you, everyone. We've got one more item, please, which is the consideration of the fiscal year 2024 congestion mitigation and air quality and fiscal year 2022 carbon reduction program projects for the Winston-Salem urban area MPO. Hunter will cover this item.
Thank you, Tanique, and good afternoon again, everyone. The item before you today, as Tanique stated, is the consideration of the fiscal year 2024 CMAQ and fiscal year 2022 CRP projects for the Winston-Salem urban area MPO. The Winston-Salem urban area MPO held a call for projects requesting proposals from member agencies for projects that will reduce on-road sources of emissions. Between the two programs, around $2.75 million was available for allocation to projects that reduce emissions. The Winston-Salem urban area MPO awards in order the projects with the greatest emissions reduction potential according to the analysis run by the Forsyth County Office of Environmental Assistance and Protection. Following the withdrawal of a project, we are now able to fully fund all remaining projects as indicated in the table enclosed. Those recommendations include full funding in the amount of $1.05 million to the town of Louisville for the Shallowford Road sidewalk improvements, $1.29 million for the NC 109 turn lane and signal project in Wahlberg, $172,800 for the Clemens Public Works Department purchase of electric vehicles and equipment, and $201,000 for the installation of the stoplight at Holder Road and Louisville Clemens Road. The only modification that has been made since our last meeting was an amended funding request from Clemens on the EV and equipment purchase, requesting funding for an additional truck in light of the remaining funding available. The emissions analysis was modified accordingly. You will see in the attached funding table that $24,427 will remain unallocated after the approval of all of these projects. However, it's our understanding from conversations with NCDOT, there will be future cycles for submitting CRP projects this year, and webinars about the carbon reduction program have indicated a future ability to allocate this through combining multiple years of funding. With adoption of this resolution, the Metropolitan Planning Organization will then submit the recommended CMAQ and CRP projects to NCDOT for review. Happy to answer any questions at this time.
Very good, Hunter. Are there any questions for Hunter? Would anyone like to make a motion related to this item?
Pat Ivy, move approval.
Thank you, Pat. Is there a second?
This is Amy Crum, second.
Thank you, Amy. It's been moved and seconded that we will approve this item. Kelly, please call the roll for the vote.
Kelly Bennett,
Yes.
Carrie Gentry,
Yes.
Tanique,
Yes.
Pam,
Yes.
Pat voted yes. I vote yes. Amy Crum voted yes. Andrew Midwell,
Yes.
Amy Flight,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Dan Corder.
Yes.
Okay. Scott Snow,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
and Donna.
Yes.
That concludes it.
All right. Thank you, everyone. So the next few items are information items. And so item number 7 is a review of the fiscal year 2020 through 2029 MTIP amendment. And Hunter will cover that item, please.
Thank you, Tanique. The item before you is the review of the FY 2020 through 2029 MTIP amendments and modifications for the Winston-Salem Urban Area MPO. The MTIP is once again a subset of the Metropolitan Transportation Plan and reflects our planning areas projects programmed in the State Transportation Improvement Program. The attached items N from January and February are the updates to the STIP that have been made by NCDOT and those made at the request of the MPO. This was available for public review, and during that time, no comments were received. Thank you.
Thank you, Hunter. Are there any questions for Hunter? All right, hearing none, we will move on to our next item, which is a review of the targets for Performance Measure Rule 2 and Performance Measure Rule 3, established in NCDOT and amended the 2045 MTP. Hunter, again.
Thank you, Tanique. The item before you, as you mentioned, is the review of targets for Performance Measure Rule 2 and Performance Measure Rule 3 and amending the Metropolitan Transportation Plan. PM2 relates to the state's goals for interstate and national highway system pavement and bridge condition, and Performance Measure 3, or PM3, relates to the travel time reliability of the interstate and national highway system, including truck and freight travel time reliability, as well as emissions reductions from CMAQ projects. As with PM1, MPOs have a choice between setting their own targets or adopting the state's targets and agreeing to plan and program projects that contribute towards the accomplishment of the state's targets for pavement, bridge, system, freight, and CMAQ performance. Adoption of the resolution in March would amend our MTP and adopt the 2-year and 4-year targets as shown in the attached table. Enclosed is an informational presentation from NCDOT regarding the targets as well as the rationale for setting them. This item is out for public review currently and will have completed the 30-day review period by the time our March meeting rolls around. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Very good. Are there any questions for Hunter? You are a very quiet group today. All right, we will go on to our next item, which is a review of an update to the transit performance measures and targets in the Transit Asset Management Plan for the Winston-Salem Transit Authority to be incorporated into the Winston-Salem Urban Area MPO 2045 MTP. Matt Duchesne will cover this item.
Thank you, Tanique. Good afternoon, TCC. As Tanique stated, item 9 is a review of an update to the transit performance measures and targets in the Transit Asset Management Plan for the Winston-Salem Transit Authority to be incorporated into the W-SWAMPO 2045 MTP. MPOs are required to develop and report transit targets as noted in Title 23, Section 134 in the United States Code. Per the final rule on transit asset management, MPOs must coordinate with transit providers to set TAM performance targets and integrate them within their planning documents. WISTA first adopted its TAM plan on October 18th, 2018, and it was then updated again in January of 2020. Since 2020, the TAM plan has met all requirements involving targets, measures, and prioritizations. WISTA is bringing the TAM plan updates for approval, so it may present its updates as part of the FY23 trainer review process. Amendments to the MTP require a 30-day comment period, which will be held from February 13th to March 15th, 2023. And a public hearing will be held during the March 16th, 2023 TAC meeting. I'm happy to take any questions on this.
All right, very good. Are there any questions for Matt?
Yeah, Matt, this is Mark Kirshner with PART. I was thinking that PART's performance measures needed to be included, but if I'm mistaken, I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. So I guess they asked for the city of Winston-Salem's, specifically WISTA's TAM plan as part of our triennial review, and I guess you would submit yours separately to us.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we upload into NTD and all that kind of good stuff. I just had some memory of the MPAs including parts. So, very good.
Sure. No problem. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Hearing none, we will move on to our staff reports. So this is the part that you all are excited about, I'm sure. You get to talk to us. So we'll start with NCDOT Division 9 Transportation Projects Update. Pat?
Okay, my report begins, Tanique, on I think page 192. Just a couple of updates I wanted to give everybody. Obviously a lot going on, but in terms of the Beltway, we've got a couple of projects. Of course, the AB section, which began construction last year, is well underway. We are getting ready to close a section of Oak Grove Church Road, basically from Kernersville Road to Orville Lane, and then a section of Old Winston Road from Kernersville Road to Sedge Garden Road. These will be permanent closures. We had originally intended that this work on this part of the project would probably not begin until sometime next year, but we are trying to work through a endangered species moratorium that begins in October. So we're actually going to start clearing work on this section this spring and summer, which will necessitate the closure of those roads. This work will begin on Monday. And again, these are permanent closures with some detours. And there's also some additional work like connecting Orville Lane to Motsinger Road. All that work will be done this summer. So those folks will have direct access to Motsinger. On page 193 is U2579BB. That is a new a noise wall that was inadvertently left off of the 2579B project a couple of years ago. We did find that a noise wall was warranted, and we're in the process of starting construction on that. Should be completed by July, but that is resulting in lane closures on NC 74 in the northbound direction. That work is in progress. And then the U2579AA, which is the I-74 interchange with the Beltway. We anticipate work on that project to begin very shortly with clearing work on the I-74 side. Next month, we will actually, the contractor will close Hastings Hill Road, a portion of not Hastings, High Point Road, so that they can build the new structures over that roadway. And that'll be closed for about 3 years, 2 or 3 years. Not sure the exact timeline, but I will update everybody on that on our next report as well. Everything else in the report is self-explanatory and up to date. As part of my report, I had mentioned to Tanique earlier, I wanted to bring something up to the group. I know that we had decided some time ago as a TCC to follow the TAC board's lead and meet virtually. I would really like for the group to consider at some point in the future doing at least some of our meetings in person for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think it's important for us to develop relationships with each other, and that we see each other's face and just learn in terms of working together with a lot of different challenges that we have. Coming up, as you know, is the P7 prioritization process that'll begin in earnest this summer. I just think whether it's maybe twice a year, once a year, whatever, no decision needs to be made, but maybe for a future agenda of the TCC, let's look at that and maybe get some feedback on the members and see if that's something that you all would agree with. I just personally believe that's it's important that we get together face to face at some point during the year. So that is my soliloquy for the day. So any questions or comments, I'll be glad to address those.
Very good. Thank you, Pat. I think it would be a good time we could discuss that now if there are any oppositions or support for face-to-face meetings. I think personally I agree with all that you said, but would like to hear from others one way or the other. If there are any comments.
This is Chris.
Yes.
This is Chris. I'll comment real quick. Yeah, I agree. I think the level of discussion has dropped off significantly. I think we learn a lot less and get to ask questions of each other a lot less through this format than prior to doing all virtual meetings. So I would, with Mark, a thumbs up on that.
Thank you, Chris, for that. Any other thoughts?
Being a new coordinator with NCDOT, I fully support the meeting in person. I feel that a lot of collaboration happens before and after meetings and discussions during that are more difficult virtually.
Very good. Thank you for that. All right. Would you all support us bringing back an item at the next meeting in consideration of going face-to-face? And is there some frequency preferred of the group? Every meeting or every quarter, or?
I was going to make the recommendation based on our discussion earlier with Pat that we do probably the first meeting of the year, a January meeting where we do the election of officers, and then maybe a May meeting, and then maybe the last meeting of the year.
At a minimum?
At a minimum, yes.
Okay. Any other frequency preferred? Pat, did you have a preference, idea, or?
I think as a start, I think that would be great, and that certainly doesn't preclude us from scheduling other meetings if we feel like the items being discussed are more beneficial in person.
We could definitely write something up giving that option. Is there anyone in opposition to that consideration or us preparing something in that direction? All right, hearing none now, we'll go ahead and prepare that, but continue to think on it. And if you've got other thoughts or questions or concerns, definitely reach out to myself or Kelly or others on staff. But not hearing any other objections, maybe we'll bring something back for the body to consider at the next meeting.
I appreciate everyone's support on that.
Thank you, Pat. Thanks, everyone. All right, we will move on to our next staff report, which is our Winston-Salem Urban Area Transportation Project Update. Kelly.
Nothing for the group at this time. I think you've all received the email about prioritization call for project that's ongoing. So happy to answer any question myself, Matthew Burchek or Hunter about that. And there will be an information item about that at our next meeting to talk further about the process. So.
All right, any questions for Kelly? Then we'll move on to NCDOT Transportation Planning Update. Pam?
Hi. When I first sent my newsletter a couple of weeks ago, there weren't many items. But since then, in the past week, a lot of news items have come out. And I put in some new things for Alex Rodenberry with the Integrated Mobility Division. That's for those who haven't gotten used to IMD term yet. That's the bicycle, pedestrian, and transit. He's not able to attend today's meeting, so we're tag teaming. Since I did the newsletter, there is one traffic forecast that is currently being done in the area. That's for a bridge replacement on University Parkway over US 52. So the city has already provided information to help inform that traffic forecast that a consultant is doing. In addition, the North Carolina State Freight Plan has been updated and adopted by the Board of Transportation last week. For integrated mobility, the planning grant cycle is now open for you to submit applications with the deadline being April 10th. I hope that many of you will apply, have areas that will apply for one of these grants. It's always a great opportunity, and many in the area have benefited from these bicycle and pedestrian plans in the past. So I hope you'll look at that. There's a webinar on March 14th if you want to get more information on the specifics of that. And then there's also a transportation demand management grant program. Information is there from IMD. PART is currently a funded partner. The North Carolina transit agencies are receiving more critical federal funds, just to let you know if you want to look online for that. And I just found out, so IMD held a information quarterly meeting yesterday, and they provided 3 resources online that are available to everyone. And I thought that you would enjoy knowing about these resources in your area. The bicycle and pedestrian crash maps and crash dashboards, and even shape files you can download. This can really help inform transportation decisions that you're looking at in your area. There's a micro-mobility strategy research project going on, and I think that Kelly already sent out the information too. It just came out that there's a new NC Clean Transportation virtual information session open to the public. Wanted to let you know what that date is, and open houses also. And the link to the January North Carolina Transportation Summit that was held, they now have all the sessions uploaded, and you can click on the link and watch the sessions from the summit site. Wanted other information that's come out. The lanes on I-74 are reduced for 5 months. There's a disadvantaged business enterprise outreach that's occurring. And then from a newsletter, Active People, Healthy Nation, Alex thought that it might be of interest to some in your area, some of these funding opportunities. So I listed them there. And just wanted to let you know about some DMV changes that are coming up. I know I saw it on our local news in Raleigh, even last night, some of these changes. So a lot of your residents may be interested in those changes. And I think pretty much that's it on my original newsletter. I don't think there was anything else beyond that, except y'all probably also heard about the DMV, the scams that were going on targeting North Carolina residents asking for money and all. Just want you to help make people in your communities aware of that we're not going to send emails or calls to ask them for money. That's it. Let me know if you have any questions.
Very good. Thank you, Pam. That was quite a bit of information there.
Well, that's for two groups, since I'm covering Alex's too.
Yes. No, very good information.
Good, I
So,
hope so. And if
thank you.
there's ever information y'all want me to provide that I'm not providing, let me know.
Very good. Are there any questions for Pam? All right, hearing none, we will move on to FHWA update. And Brandon?
Hi, so the only update that I have from FHWA is just to keep in mind the interest and time frame for updating your new planning boundaries, which should be done by your next MTP update or 4 years, whichever comes first.
Very good. Any questions for Brandon? Okay. Next, Piedmont Triad Regional Council of Governments update. Carter's not on this call, is he? Nope. All right, Forsyth County OEAP air quality update. Gary?
Yeah, I have nothing beyond what's in the report, and I didn't comment on the meeting in person, but at a minimum, I think we should meet personally. I think we should meet almost every month like we did before. But that's just my 2 comments or my 2 cents worth.
Thank you for that, Carrie. All right, any questions for Carrie? All right, next, bicycle and pedestrian facilities projects update. Matthew?
Thank you, Sneak. Thank you, Pam, for discussing the multimodal planning grant program. I'm sharing a link in the chat box for that program, which includes the sign up for the webinar as well on March 14th. And the other item I wanted to share was just a reminder about the Piedmont Legacy Trail Summit that is coming up on March 10th, Friday, March 10th. And I will include a link to that as well. Minimum cost, it's only $30 to register for that. And AICP credits are available if that's helpful to any of you. So that's about it. Thank you.
All right. Any questions for Matthew? All right, next we have the Winston-Salem Transit Authority. Donna?
Good afternoon. I do not have, I don't know that I have a report this time, but I don't have anything in addition if I do.
All right. Any questions for Donna? All right. Let's see. Next, we have the Piedmont Authority for Regional Transportation update. Mark?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I too wanted to build off of something from Pam's newsletter, and that is the TDM grant. PART has been a long time recipient of that grant. It is our program here in the region is mostly focused on the regional land pool program, but I just wanted to make the point that we do have a regional stakeholders group that meets about TDM, and the grant package, as he said, is out, and we will be working on that. I do not feel that we fully leverage the opportunities that the grant provides here within the region. So I'll just leave it at that. The second thing I wanted to say is I may have mentioned before about our household travel survey. I don't know if any of y'all received an invitation, or if you know of anyone that did receive an invitation to participate. I don't know if it was just by chance or they purposely sent me one, but I got one. So I got to participate in the survey and the travel. But we are needing 4,800 responses to the survey. So to date, we have mailed out 71,728 invitations. And from that, we've received information back that people were willing to participate from 8,365. Now, you might be thinking, God, that's a pretty low percentage. That's 11.66% of that 71,000. But our statistical and survey people tell us that that's an excellent response. So kudos to our region and pats on the back. Of those 8,365, so far, 3,378 have completed their travel day. And remember, our total is 4,800. So we're about 1,100 short of our mark. But the last scheduled travel day at this point is March the 6th. And from our last report that we received from Westat, who is the consultant managing the survey, is that we're going to hit our mark. So keep your fingers crossed. That would be a huge coup for all of us to be able to have enough responses done on this survey. So again, if you got an invitation to participate, thank you. If not, keep your fingers crossed that we make our mark. Thank you.
And this is Pam. In your January newsletter was a link to the household survey. And it's, if you want to keep up and visit the website for the survey, it's Triad Travel Counts, all one word.com. So
Very good. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Pam. Are there any questions for Mark? All right. On to Davidson County Transportation. Richard.
Good afternoon. We continue to work on our transition to become a direct recipient. We're in our final stages, and we have submitted a proposed DBE program and policy program and our goal. We also are in the process of getting public feedback on that. I put a link in the chat box for a link to our website where we have the document, access to the document and the goal, and a link to provide comment. We'd appreciate anyone taking a look at it and want to provide us comments. That'd be great. That's all I got. Thank you.
All right, very good, Richard. Any questions for Richard? Okay, next we will have our Title VI compliance update. Marlene.
Good afternoon, everyone. I do not have any updates at this time.
All right, thank you. Any update, any questions for Marlene? Okay, next we have our MPO calendar of activities. Matthew?
So I think the thing I want to draw everybody's attention to are the dates related to prioritization 7.0. Those are subject to change, but note that March 16th right now, or I'm sorry, the 15th is the submission deadline. April 3rd is the letter of support submission deadline. Again, those dates are subject to change, but I wanted to bring attention to that and encourage people to start reviewing their prioritization 6.0 project list. And we are happy to have discussions with you about those projects, whether they are still relevant for you, if some of the information needs to be updated. We're here to serve as a resource to help with that. So Kelly had mentioned that we sent out the information related to the P7 process last Friday. And one of those items was the P6 list of projects. So please do look at those and let us know if we can assist in any way. The other item I have, which isn't shown on the calendar, but is coming up in about 2 months, is the NCAMPO conference in Greenville. That's April 26th through the 28th. So we'll make sure that's on the calendar for our March meeting. But in the meantime, you might all want to begin preparations for travel if you plan to attend that. So again, it's April 26th through the 28th in Greenville, and I will include a link in the chat box here. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Matthew. Any questions for Matthew? All right. Our most favorite topic, ethics liaison, Kelly.
Just a gentle reminder to help me by working with your elected official and help them file their ethics. The deadline is April 17th, so just about tax day. So just help them by filling out those forms. And if you need anything, if they are stuck somewhere, I am available to help. And should I not be available to help, Matthew Burchek will be available to help as well. Walk them through that process. It's not complicated. It takes less than 10 minutes to do. Just go ahead and encourage them to do that. Thank you.
Very good. Any questions for Kelly? All right, our quarterly Moving Times magazine, Hunter.
Hi, Tanique. No major changes. This is the same newsletter that I showed everyone in January 2023, but I did want to call attention to one article that I did not call attention to last time, which is our staff update section. Wanted to congratulate Laura Nixon on her promotion to the senior engineering technician role, as well as the 3 DOT staff who are nominated for Employee Excellence Awards. So if you see Laura Nixon, if you see Jason Toney, Jeff Fansler, or Matt Duchesne out there, make sure you give them a congratulations. That's pretty much all I had. Thank you.
Very good, Hunter. All right, any questions for Hunter? All right, then we are at the adjournment of our meeting. And our next meeting is scheduled for March 16th. And hope to see you all here. And I guess, is there a motion for adjournment? Well, before we do that, was there anybody that had anything else to add to the meeting? I'm sorry. Wanted to give you an opportunity. Okay, well then, yes. Any motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Pat. A second? I'll second. Thank you. We are adjourned, everyone. You be safe out there, and we'll see you next month, if not sooner. Thank you.